I'm Chris Murray.
And I'm Harry Dearden.
And this is the Flat Track Podcast. Good week, H?
Yeah, nice week. I've not done too much, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've been asked the question, probably the sixth time. Martin asked it when I got here. Started it in yet? Nope.
Well, yeah, we're not starting till March. I'm fine with this.
Nope.
I'm fine with
I've got
this.
Spain, I've got a golf trip to get out of the way first. And then I will start hitting cricket balls. Nice to have some time off.
Does that mean I need to get a co-host in for next week, or are you back?
No, you need a co-host next week.
Right.
I'll let you know now.
I've got a good guest lined up for next week as well, so...
I'll let you have a co-host.
Yeah, all sorted.
Your favourite will be gone. Your favourite host will be away.
We got a new subscriber off the back of Daniel's comments last week, calling everybody. Yeah, after his comments saying that anybody who watched the podcast is like a weirdo. Yeah. We got new subscribers. We'll take that.
Excellent.
It was funny because on Saturday morning, obviously, I'm a bald gentleman, but I go to the barbers every Saturday, right? And sat in the barbers, and somebody who was mentioned on the pod last week by Deegs, and I've seen where I am on your podcast this week. I've seen that I get a mention. He said I got a text off somebody telling me 11 minutes in I get a mention, so I'm going to finish off watching it later for you.
Excellent. Yeah,
so it's always good.
Quick shout out to our first sponsor of the podcast.
Yes.
Firecrest Cricket. Anyone needs any kit, any bats, gloves, pads, helmets, even teamwear, then Firecrest, Toby at Firecrest will be happy to help out where he can.
Yes, we'll make sure that he's...
Thank you very much. Mother's happy because he's got a new bat and he's not got to use a toothpick anymore. But
new gloves and everything, new pads.
Yeah,
all good. Sponsoring a Div 5 gun as I classed it to him.
Yeah,
all good. So much appreciated. Cheers, Toby. Thanks, and obviously I'll tag him in, etc.
Yeah.
So I guess this week we go from a comedian last week, a little bit serious this week.
Yeah, we've got to be a bit more serious. Have we? I don't know if we have.
Well,
we'll see.
Well, no, because we'll get told off by his daughter.
Yeah,
so we're going to be careful.
Welcome to the pod, Martin Kay.
Nice to have you on. Nice to meet you again.
Pleasure to have you on, sir. So.
Could be a bit of comedian this week than it was last week. You never know.
Do you know what? Some of the stories he told last week, I was. There was one point last week where I was cringing, and then I listened to it back and did the editing on it, and I was like, actually, that didn't sound as bad as I thought it did. So
no, it was good.
It was good.
It was good.
Good. So first and foremost, we'll start off with. Is it 10 years of the GMCL this year?
It's 11 this year. 14, 15 in the making, 11 years playing.
Cool. I in my head, I wasn't too sure of the timeline of it when we had 𝗘𝗹𝗶𝘃𝗏 on from North West Cricket League the other week, and I was trying to rack my brain thinking I can't remember exactly what year it started.
I remember being stood in the car park where we are now at Woodbank, and there's a conversation between 𝗘𝗹𝗶𝘃𝗏, my dad, and Wardy about the GMCL when you were first started talking about it, when it first gone out to clubs, and the same, and I think they'll say this now, is the decision they made then has probably been the best thing that has happened to Woodbank Cricket Club in the last however long I can remember, just because it's created this new interest in local cricket and created, I think the first year or the second year it was in, it was like 6 local derbies for Woodbank or something like that, and people coming through the door, watching, spending money at the bar, creating, and look what since that's happened, look what's happened to the club. Yeah,
and it's been good, but we'll come on to that more properly shortly. So our usual start-off question is, where did it all start for yourself?
Where did it all start for me? Funny enough, it was Walshaw, believe it or not.
Can we boo?
Can we boo? No, you can't boo. They're a good club, but I went under 8s, and they had no under 9s, they only had under 11s, and I couldn't play. They wouldn't let me play. Peter Clark, I was too young, and he said, you can't play, you're too young, lad. So I went up to Rammy, tried to get a gig at Rammy, and I think probably that would be my first time running into Mark Stewart, even though we went to school together later on. And I was still too young, so I ended up having a bit of a hiatus and playing at school for a couple of years before I went back to Walshaw, and then from there, the old Bolton Road, I used to run past Bolton Road on my way to school from Totty, and they invited me in one afternoon, and they've been fantastic with me ever since, hence why I stuck with them through all the troubles that they had. But it actually started at Walshaw and then a little bit at Rammy.
My respect's gone down for you ever so slightly. To be fair, I think my dad classed it as, I think he told me a story a while ago, saying you scored, he played in a game against you, I think, where you scored 100, where hundreds were very rare back in those days, like wickets you played on. He's like, ultimate respect. Got 100 when hundreds were rare. I was like, all right, I didn't realise it was, you know, like.
We've actually got something in common, you know, because my first club was Walsh. Yeah, my first club was Walsh at under 9s. Dad ran the team.
You need to, you all need a shower. You all need to wash yourself.
Been on telly, on radio or telly. I can't remember what
telly
it was.
Telly.
We need to put that out.
We have put it out.
We have put it out. Yeah, we have put it out. Yeah.
Under 9. What do you want to be? I want to be a cricketer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So from there, obviously, you played at Bolton Road. How long were you at Bolton Road for?
I was there on and off because I played at Horwich for a little while. I broke up when myself and 𝗘𝗵𝗶𝗃 had a bit of an argument, and I fell out with him. And I thought it was the best thing to do rather than get into a bit of a fist fight with him. So I went to Horwich for a little while, and then I went back to Bolton Road where they were really in the struggles with the church. And I became chairman after being pulled through the system by John Law, if you can remember John Law and George Waldron, albeit both now long gone. But they taught me the world of administration. They pulled me up through my bootstraps and really taught me how sport worked. And from then I went on to pursue a professional degree in sport and worked professionally in sport then for 25 years. But I'll never forget John Law and George Waldron. They were fantastic people, and I had a lot of time for them, and I was really sad when they both passed on.
My first memory of you is it's either under 11s or under 13s, Bury Cricket Development. You were one of the coaches, one of the first ever coaches I had outside of like Elton. You've been invited down to this, come on. And it was like, yeah, and that was my first encounter with you was being coached by you. And I can't remember who else we had with us that were the other coaches in it. I just remember being in a sports hall on a Sunday during the season, and then during off season doing that. Can you get selected for like town team off doing this, etc. So that was my first interaction with you. I remember before then, obviously meeting you then through cricket later on. Been doing a lot of coaching over the years, haven't you?
I have. I've done since I finished coaching. Since I finished playing, I went coaching, and the best week I've ever had was down at Lillishall doing level 3 coaching. And you were there for a week. They put you through the real test, and there was GG was there, Simon Brown was there from Durham, Andy Flower was there, the ex-England coach, and they were all ex-professionals apart from me. I was the only amateur, and they were pulling them out every day one by one. Sorry, you're not good enough. Sorry, you're not good enough. And former England coach who's just got sacked from the ladies, who's now turned up at Glamorgan, failed his level 3 on his tactical bowling. And he was the opening bowler for Warwickshire at the time. I'll not mention the name, but you should be able to work it out from there. Yeah. But and I was the only amateur on there, and I passed with flying colours. And it's the best week's cricket I've ever had. Now, I always say you learn more coaching than you ever do when you're playing. So if you ever get the opportunity, go and do a bit and enjoy it.
I agree with that. I coached a little bit last year, and I think sometimes you can see something in a player that you're coaching, and sometimes it resonates with you, especially like when I'm batting. I can be coaching a young kid and be like, oh, this is happening, and then actually I think, I've been having the same trouble as him, so if I can tell him what's wrong, if I can see and tell him what's wrong, then maybe try it myself. And it does. I think you're right. I think you see a different perspective of the game when you go from playing to coaching, because, you know, I've always been, whenever I've been coached, I've always been quite a quick learner. I've always been able to pick stuff out. If someone's told me something, I've been able to work it out quite quick. But then seeing it, doing it as a coach and seeing how to implement it into players' games, I think it helps me in my game, because I can go away and try.
One of the players that played here played as an overseas, and he was rapid when he was here first time at Bradshaw, Sajid Shah. Yeah. Came and played here, and now he's doing a lot of coaching at 𝗘𝗶𝘀 in Pakistan. And he invited me over a little while ago if I wanted to go over and coach over in Pakistan, which I gracefully refused and said it's a bit far. And then the following week they found Bin Laden in the same place. Wow. So it was a good place not to go and coach.
Yeah, it probably is, yeah. Yeah, no.
Big fan of that.
Yeah.
So,
it is.
Obviously you've a lot of coaching, etc. You're obviously currently coaching at Walshire.
A little bit. Yeah. More man managing than coaching now. I'm getting a little bit old in the tooth. That's sliding a little bit, but there's a bit of man management in there and pulling people up and helping them through, particularly the youngsters, because they have an awful lot of youngsters come through the system at Walshire, and they just need a little bit of outside knowledge. Because the one thing, if you go away and play cricket and you come back, you tend to bring a bit back with you. if you stay within a club for a long period of time, you always know what you always know. So it's good to get some outside voices bringing into club now and again. And it works well, that. And I have a lot of credit for Walsall, the way they brought the lads through, and for the way the lads have stuck through it.
Yeah.
Because this year it will be 7, 8, 9 of homegrown cricketers that will be playing in that first team.
They've always, the thing that I've always, as much as I have a laugh, like obviously not liking them, I've always obviously got on with them.
Yeah.
And that has always been one of the things where they've always developed good juniors. Obviously some juniors that have played from have obviously played here with us. Yeah. And it is always good to see that raft of players all sticking together. I mean, like we played against them a couple of years ago in the twos, and there was a lot of decent juniors who probably weren't yet at that mark for being able to play first team, but there was something about them where you think they could actually in a couple of years probably do a bit. So I get where you're coming from with that.
You've got to give them a go. You've got to give people the opportunity, because if you don't give them the opportunity, they will walk. Yeah. So there's a fine balance by having a real good team fighting for promotion every year, and a fine balance of creating a team that can find on its own feet and stand on its own feet and battle hard. And trying to get battle-hardened cricketers, as you know, is quite tough. And you know, there's a lot of turn and churn around the cricket clubs, which it's got its good bits, its bad bits, and I've just given one example of a good bit. But it's really good, and it's nice to see homegrown cricketers stand up for themselves and become good club lads. Yeah. And girls.
Yeah, I do agree. I think as well, I think going back to your point about, you know, outside knowledge, I think that's why it does, I think helps clubs having overseas amateurs or pros, because they bring in something that you might not, they might change something, or they might give you an idea that you've never thought of. And you know, we've obviously got Wade coming over this year, and I think I'm looking forward to seeing how he performs and what he brings. You know, it's a different
because obviously he's a skipper back home and everything,
exactly,
so no, that makes sense. Who've Walsall signed as the pro this year?
Signed a professional from Maritime in the Liverpool competition. Coming from Maritime, which is a club I've never heard of before. It's a new one on me. I played against them when I was at Oxton 2 years ago. We played there in our T20 group. They had some very, very good cricketers there playing in, I think they're in Div 1, if I'm correct. But they had some very, very good cricketers. Well, hopefully he's coming and settling in. They signed him last Sunday, so hopefully that'll go well. Yeah. And there's an overseas from South Africa coming.
Yeah, I knew they'd signed overseas, but I wasn't too sure like which nationality it was. I'd seen it pop up. Well,
and hopefully part of it is friends for life, isn't it? You bring people in, they go with a good experience of the club, they take it away, and you form a bit of a relationship with them, a bit like Edgeworth have done with Tom Rogers' club. Yeah. You know, he came over and was fantastic, and they've got a bit of a treadmill going on there now. So it all goes well. Goes well.
It's good setting up them links, like you say, in different countries and having options, and you know, because it is hard. Like, you know, I know being involved in, you know, recruitment over the last few years, it's player recruitment. It's hard to find, you know, a good pro or reliable pro or an overseas, and having them people in those different countries you can ask, have you heard of this? Well, it helps, because it makes your decision easier, because it's always a gamble, isn't it, signing an overseas pro, because you never know, unless you've had them before or seen them, you never know actually what they're going to do or how good they're going to be or what they're going to be like. So it's important having those links in place in different countries to help you, definitely.
It is, and it makes a difference. Yeah, it does make a difference, Harry, in clubs.
It does. I know. Obviously, the lad we've signed, he's playing with one of our lads this year, and he's come well regarded. But I've done my own research, because I've got a lot of contacts in Melbourne. I've done my own research and been like, can he play? Yeah, he's good cricket, right? Perfect. And people you trust as well, and trust their judgment. So definitely.
Yeah.
So obviously, aside from being what we classing it as, first team manager at Walsall, director of cricket,
psychologist.
And if anybody's good at psychology, just come and have a word with me, because I need one.
Yeah. Other than that, obviously you're chairman of the GMCL, so obviously we'd said before, and that's two obviously I've got in Sam there in the space of a couple of seconds. We spoke about how many years it's been. So how did that come about?
Well, we'd had a survey came out from the ECB that was showing an absolute dearth of cricket, losing cricketers, and this was about 18 years ago, and it was a wholesale survey that came out for countrywide, and the northwest were, if you think of Lancashire and Yorkshire, we have 33% of all recreational cricket within the country playing, and we were losing hand over fist. cricketers, juniors, junior sides, junior managers, junior coaches, and we came out with a real difficult sell, and it was really hard to stomach. So myself, Derek Kay, God rest his soul, Mike Hall from the Bolton League, 𝗘𝗵𝗶𝗃𝗃 from the Lancashire County League, and Lancashire themselves had a conversation about this, and we decided to test the waters whether it would be viable to bring leagues together to try and sustain each other and support each other. Some went well, some was hard. You know, I sit here and it wasn't an easy ride by any means. In the meantime, we lost Derek, so he never saw the league in its earnest, which was a real sadness. You know, he had a heart attack and died on the same day, which was real sadness for everybody. But the few of us that set it up were in a real belief that the only way we were going to save a lot of what was true to cricket and the history of cricket was to try and develop something new. Mm-hmm. You know, there was a lot talked about history and losing of traditions and this, that and the other, which I get. You know, I'm not daft, I do get that. But I was very much about creating your own history and your own traditions now as we move on into a different world. You know, we've got a fantastic lot of kids now coming through with new coaches and new managers. You've just touched on this club. I see it right round the patch of Greater Manchester. I still see struggle areas, don't get me wrong, I still see that. And we're trying hard to support those areas. But in my work of sports development in times past, I see a much more stable landscape now than I ever have done for the last 25 years in cricket. The governing body has got a bit to do as well. They know themselves and they're pulling themselves up by the bootstraps as they go along. We're trying to have a ride with them in the ECB. We are an ECB Premier League. Comes respect, comes responsibility. So we've got a number of things we have to do on their behalf. That puts pressure on us as league administrators, puts pressure on us as league clubs to make sure that we're operating in a safe, well-governed sports development environment, Sport England environment, which is really good. It all goes well for the league too, and the feedback we had at Christmas for the returns were really strong, and it shows that we are a strong league in a strong position. But to get to this position has been some hard yards, very hard yards.
It doesn't surprise me that, because I remember when it was first mooted and my dad had seen the first patch of clubs that had said they were like signing up to it, and I'd been playing thirds at Elton along with playing seconds. Most of them were like North Manchester League clubs, and my dad's first thoughts where he went, oh, it's just going to be a glorified North Manchester League, and then Lancs County League came on block, didn't they, to it straight off, and then you look at it, and as it started to grow a little bit, it was like, oh, this is interesting. This is like, it's going to be one of
much unanimous, wasn't it? The Lancs County League. I remember it was pretty much we were going and we're doing it because, you know, I think, you know, and when I first played in the Lancs County League, there's in that area of Manchester there was so much untapped cricket potential. Your Denver clubs and your Stockport clubs and those clubs around there, and you know, when I'd only ever really watched my dad play in the Lancashire League and the Bolton Association, that's all I really can remember, and I could never really even really knew there was any clubs over that way. And when you start going over there, you know, and even Glossop, like when we went over there, what a ground! I played there for a year. I love the place. It's a great ground, but you know, when the Lancs County, I think when it came around, I think Lancs County League got to the point where I think it was just going, it was stagnant. You know, there was just teams playing the same teams, and it was always the same teams at the top, and it was the same teams at the bottom, and it was the same teams in the middle. And I think clubs were just getting fed up. And like you say, it saved some clubs in the Lancs County League, 100%.
The thing that made me laugh with it was Elton had waited forever to move to the CLL, and then I think we only ended up having 2 seasons in it before it was like we were moving on, etc. sort of thing. It was like one of them where you look at it and it was like, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know?
There was always a tipping point. There was always, when we were building and we had full open meetings with all the clubs and all the leagues in Greater Manchester, which included the Bolton League, the Pennine League, as was then, or the Central Lancashire League, before the Pennine League, the Sadworth League, and we had big meetings at Old Trafford to thrash out the details, and we did create a pyramid. And if all would have come together, it would have been a pyramid with the Bolton League and Central Lancs at the top, and then filtered down slightly. So it would have had that starting point, but it would have all changed, as we've seen.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, the teams have changed and chopped a little bit. 3 up, 3 down is harsh, But we've been out to clubs twice now about it and just sort of said, are we still in the right area with this? And they've said it's fantastic, don't change it, because it adds jeopardy to every game that we've got. And you can't take your foot off the pedal. If you do for a couple of games, you can drop from middle to bottom and be in the threat of relegation. Or similarly, if you can win a few, you can be at the top. And you can be as ambitious as you want at clubs. If you're in the Championship, or club to watch at the minute is Milnrow. They nearly closed, and I'll say that with hand on heart. They've said it to me that they thought they were closing the club at one stage, the cricket part of the club, and they had to pull out. And they met me, came in, and sort of said, "We're not strong anymore. We need to rebuild." And they've rebuilt themselves, and they're up into the Championship this year, and they've done it the right way. They've rebuilt with players, with coaches, with juniors, and they're having a great success within the club and developed the club on the back of it.
Yeah.
So I've seen some great stuff as we've come through, and no doubt other leagues are doing just the same. I'm just a bit closer to our league.
Yeah.
So
I know. I think you're right with the 3 up, 3 down. I remember, like I say, the year I was at Glossop, I think we were fourth with about 5 games to go, and then the second team couldn't raise a team, so both teams lose points, don't they?
Yeah.
So both teams lost points. So we lost that week, that particular Saturday, and then we lost another 5 points. So we went from fourth to just above the relegation within a weekend, and then we had to win. I mean, we played Woodhouses in the second to last game to go to sort of save our self-relegation, and then come 2 games later, last game of the season, we literally missed out on promotion into the Prem by a point. So it was like 2 points. It was something like ridiculous, and I think, like, you know,
we were talking
sliding door moments, aren't they? Then that 5 points, it can. But like you say, jeopardy. We're literally up, and we from going up to going down to going up within 4 or 5 games.
We were talking about this the other week in here, weren't we? Where we were saying we weren't too sure whether the 3 up, 3 down was still working, and like I said, the point to H of going. We've tried to have that point with the GMCL where we thought it had settled, but then more clubs have come in, and they have to go in at certain areas. So the 3 up, 3 down, in most is working because there has been a few new clubs coming. They've got to then find the level as well. As much as, like, you look at teams that are in Prem 1, Prem 2, Championship, etc., and think, oh, they've roughly found their level because of, like, those new additions that have come in. They're probably right in saying that should continue. And it's one of those things where for a lot of years people didn't play for relegation or anything with what you're in. And it does do well. It's one of those conundrums for you guys, though, of going, when does it get to that point of where is it too big, where is it, you know, will it ever be?
Apart from the Prem, you pretty much 50% of your league changes every year, doesn't it? With 3 up, 3 down. So you're always changing grounds. You're going to play. You know, you're going to play against some of the same teams if you stay in that league. But then you go to new grounds, different players. The competition's different.
And clubs change. Clubs alter from time to time. They go around in circles. Sometimes are strong, sometimes they're not quite as strong. So it faces the club every year to say how we're going to sustain ourselves for next year and how we're going to keep moving on. You know, from my point of view, I ask all clubs, what's the development plan for on the field and off the field? I love to see that because I love it seeing going hand in hand. And if they can produce something good on the field, you tend to find that the club have something good off the field as well. It tends to run together. So it's fantastic to see, and I love to see clubs develop off the field of play. Just sat in here today, we've been waiting 20 years for this extension on the bar to happen, and all of a sudden everything's boomed at once. Bars happen, toilets upgrade, the bar's being changed again, the car park's being done. It's fantastic to see.
It's a totally different club for some people when they turn up in April.
I go back to obviously Denton West, with one of the teams I remember playing against a lot in the Lancs County League, and you know they've probably not been for 3 years since we went down, and they come 3 years ago and they're going to come this year, and it's going to feel like a different place to a lot of, especially the Lancs County clubs that played in that, you know, when you were talking like when I first started in 2010, 2011, when I first played for, you know, from then to now, and like you say, it's a pig pen. That's what was sat in Hal for as long as I can remember, and then, you know, like I say, now the car park's being done, and there's only more and more stuff, you know, going to keep happening. And like I've said before, there's a lot of volunteers who, you know, there's too many to thank, but there's some certain people who have put so much time and effort into the club over the years.
Yeah, I think that the clubs will always change in terms of the way their appearances. Some of them will obviously go worse if they've not got the right volunteers in place, etc., or are not able to get enough volunteers, and obviously some will progress. And I think the beauty of the creation of the GMCL is that those clubs, if they're then struggling off the pitch and struggling on it at the same time, it gives them a division to be in to then obviously come back up.
It's almost like a springboard, isn't it? They find where they need to be, and then it gives them a chance to.
It's like we had Ollie on from Flixton, Ollie Riley, who's first team captain, and they've self-relegated, haven't they?
Yes.
And he was talking to us off camera about like what their plans were and what their hopes were, and the reason why they got to that point. And it's good to see that they thought about the path of where they need to go in order to be back to being the club that they previously were. And if more clubs needed to take that route, then the good thing is that the GMCL provides that with the amount of divisions that there are.
There is a safety net as well. That's what I always class as, is that if clubs fall on hard times, you can always find that level, but you can always find support within the league to help you bring that back round a little bit. You know, some clubs are really strong at the minute, and we've got some clubs that aren't that strong, but they're working tirelessly at getting themselves better and better at it. And we have a level for, you know, we've got 88 clubs. So we talk about the Premier League, we're talking the first 3 divisions effectively. And then anybody who's coming up has to, you know, there's a gold, silver and bronze award for your grounds now, so you've got to fit into that. Then you've got to fit into your sports development plan off the field of play before you even get onto the field of play and get over the whitewash. So it's a big league with a big ambition, but we are, from cradle to grave, if you will, we are picking up some of the lower end clubs from the North Manchester Cricket League that have traditionally done well in the likes knockout, funnily enough, for 2 rounds, and then that's their level. And they know where their level is now, and they're enjoying that. And they're enjoying that jeopardy of 3 up, 3 down, even down at the lower ends.
And I think, I've said this before on the podcast, it's no secret that this year the Premier League, I think, will be the best club cricket or the most competitive club cricket that I'll have played in. And, you know, I never played in the Liverpool comp, but I played in the Cheshire League for a few years. And I say this all the time, there's no difference in the standard of amateurs. The difference is the standard of the pitches that are played on. And that is the only difference. And I think, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, that's next for the GMCL is how do we go and where do we go to get it to that? And again, I think it's just down to the standard of the pitches that we play on in the GMCL is the next.
Well, we've got the grounds administration group that's going round with Phil Royal. We let go the new grounds. You guys were missing apart from Phil Hornby on Sunday morning, where we outlined the new governance for the grounds and facilities. That'll be coming through in February, and that's going to be quite harsh for people to pull up to that. But we've got to do that because we accept that some of the decks that we're playing on aren't quite as good as Liverpool, because Liverpool's hard. You know, they play on the coast, and so do some of the Cheshire leagues as well. We've got to try and do something slightly different to bring our clubs up into a similar ilk, because we don't want to keep hearing, you know, I've got to go and play at Liverpool because I've got to go and play on a better day. And that hurts. That hurts when we hear that, particularly if it's a homegrown player. So we've got to do our best all round to try and produce the best decks possible.
100%. And again, I do. We are unfortunate with, you know, the Cheshire League's played, you know, down towards the coast, and there's some lovely grounds out there. And like you say, Liverpool Com is out that way, and you know they do get the better weather. And I think it's just for the GMCL. Last year we played on some brilliant grounds in Prem 2 and playing on some poor decks. But I think that comes with cricket. Not everyone's, you know, if it rains the night before and water gets under, you know, sometimes you can't stop the elements. But I think, like you say, overall, if there's rules that clubs have to abide by or stick to, or governance and stuff, I think you'll only see the league become even stronger, because those grounds that people want to play at will be at the top.
And there is a stick. With the stick comes a carrot, though. We're doing some work with Battersby's, where we're doing some days through the season where we're doing renovation on different grounds. So we're trying to work with professionals to try and bring that element in. So we're working with Will Purser and his dad to try and do some work as well.
And I think like the introduction of the hybrid pitches around local cricket has 100% helped. You know, I look at Edgeworth, and it was in my second year at Edgeworth, when I was there, that they got the hybrid pitches, and I think now they're pretty much full square. They've just had, obviously having the ground redone, and I think they'll have now 4 or 5 hybrid pitches, and obviously like Mickey D does it as a thankless task up there because they have so much cricket, and he's got, I think before they had the ground done, they had 6 wickets for a full season of 4 senior teams and however many junior teams. And I think for him, you know, had been able to use those, not only did it create wickets lasting longer, so not as much had to be spent on repairing or whatever, it also created better cricket wickets.
What made me laugh with the first time I played on one of those hybrids at Edgeworth, so obviously, I've said this to you before, I played junior cricket at Edgeworth, I've played senior cricket there, etc. I'd always known it to be slow and low. Didn't know we were playing on one of these hybrid wickets. First, didn't even know they had one. First ball of a second team game, some young lad comes steaming in, and what would generally tend to be just one that's slow and low and there to be whacked regardless, bounced and hit me in the balls, first ball, and I just went, in all the years of playing against these, it's never got that high, but it was an absolute belter after that.
And I think, you know, they've been, I think as we go now, as we go through club cricket and into the future, I think more and more clubs can afford them. I think more and more clubs will get them because, you know, a good groundsman is the dying. A lot of it is volunteer work now. Not many clubs have that groundsman like they used to be. So being able to have something that takes less preparation but is just as good, if not better, for me they are no-brainers in club cricket.
So what sort of things are on that governance? What do they have to? Anything you can reveal before?
It's a lot of the same stuff. What you've got to be prepared with at Prem 1 is very detailed. At Prem 2, it says details of Prem 1 because we're working with Prem 1 and Prem 2. Prem 3 is a slightly watered down version, not quite as strenuous as Prem 2. And then as you drop down the standards, it's up to you what standard you want to go for, a bit lower down. But certainly at Championship, Prem 2 and Prem 1, you're looking at getting that gold standard.
100%, because like you say, you know, there's clubs that in the Championship that might have aspirations to go up and be in the Prem in 2-3 years time, so they have to start getting ready for that. It's no good them doing it and then get into 2 months before the season and being like, oh.
That's right. And we've had a big survey on the grounds done, which all the clubs then were part of, to have a look at the grounds and the squares and see where they're all up to. The one for us in this neck of the woods was thatch. The biggest one was thatch, and how clubs are going to go around getting rid of some of that thatch. Edgerton were the first club to bring them back and to buy a couple of new machines, or the 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝘃𝗲𝗃 and the what's the other one that they have, the 𝗘𝗃𝗲𝗃 running with, forgive me, I just forget. But they've had theirs pulled up by the bootstraps, and they got an award at Old Trafford last year for improvement of the wicket.
Amazing.
So
cool. That's like you say, like, and again, something I've said, you know, people have this thing about club cricket and clubs playing players and not looking after the ground, and which I understand, and not promoting the club in the right way, and not trying to get the club better as well as the players on the field. But if a club is spending money, but as you said before, is working on the facilities, working on the ground, in my book, it's fine. You know, it is part and parcel. As long as you can do both and be sustainable that way, then fair enough. So it is great. It's amazing to hear, you know, like you say, that clubs are working on the grounds, but are also can spend money on their club and their team to make it better, because good players want to play in good teams, want to play in the best league, and I think that's...
And we get challenged as well. We've been challenged this year about the juniors, and we've restructured the juniors under Gary Peace, and we brought in there's around 8 people just working on the juniors on their own this year. So we've had to restructure things because of the drive from clubs to say we want it better. And we've had to react to that. So so it's all good.
Anything new in terms of like the Saturday cricket that's come in? Any new rule changes or anything different?
There are. The rule change meetings are in March, so there's quite a few this year, so you'll have to get to them and make sure the captains are aware of them. There's nothing out of the ordinary.
Lewis.
You won't be in the country. Won't be in the country. You're going. You're going to have to go.
I'm going to have to go and all.
Oh, you've been stitched up there.
There's nothing there. There's just tightening of the league rules. We've been here for 10 years now, so we've had a proper review of the rules and just tighten them up here and there.
Can I put my request in now for a rule change?
Of course.
Leg side wides, Saturdays, every division through, please, on a Saturday.
Oh, that's divisive.
No, as a batsman, and also as somebody who believes in the thing of that regardless of the step up in divisions, that second team cricket is the pathway to first team.
Yeah.
If you've got young lads that are bowling and they're bowling absolute dross down leg side, they should be wided for it, and it should also stop Mick Ingham from doing it. But no, that's the one thing. That's the only thing for me that I would, on a Saturday, if we're all playing Saturday cricket, leg side wides throughout. And a suggestion that was made to me when I did say you were coming on the pod was somebody actually said that if you're not going to do leg side wides all the way through on Saturdays, leg side wides in juniors for under 18s, because some clubs have a lot of under 18s that play first team cricket, so that should potentially be the only one.
I do think it's interesting, is it, because in the Cheshire League, so now they've split their cricket into
the three,
so they're into their three, and their time cricket is, I think it's leg side wide. I think it's, if it's wide, it's wide, and there's not. Whereas the 50 over cricket, the win lose is wide. And I get what you, and I tend to agree. I think the other way is if you're doing leg side wide, you'd have to make it a short game.
Well, it's already 5 overs short.
Yeah.
It's already 5 overs short. So you know.
I had a rule change, but it's already in conversation. So I thought the bonus point system, batting first, outweighed the chasing.
Well, that's been changed, hasn't it?
Yes. So I was, when I saw that, I was happy, because I was always in my head. I was like, well, if you bat first and you get 150, and then you bowl the team out, you get your bonus point. But if you bat second and you chase down 270, but you only do it 4 down, not 3 down, that's the better. That for me is a more. You've chased down 270. Do you know what I mean? I felt like it was just slightly, but it's been sorted now. So
we'll clip the GMCL Deegan's bit from last week where he talked about that league down south where he said they class it as percentages cricket, do 20 points.
Yeah.
So you batting first start off with none. He starts off with none. If you score 100, you've got 20 points. If he knocks it off, he gets 1 point for every 10% that they scored. So he would get 10 points. But if he's 8 down, you get 8 points. So you've got 18, and then he gets an additional 2. So you have 20 split between it.
Why make it so complicated?
Yeah, it sounded great when we were talking last week.
What's up with win or lose cricket?
It was just like it was so interesting though.
This is again win lose cricket for me. And I know they play the Cheshire League and Liverpool Con, but a lot of their lads have been brought up playing that.
Yes,
a lot of the leagues around here have been brought up playing win lose cricket, and for me, it's the way forward
you've got your rule change, so you're all right.
Yeah, I'm happy with my rule change.
If you do my rule change, we'll be very happy too. You'll be forever a friend of the pod.
I think, and I think, like you say, you've got to keep moving forward, haven't you? You've got to keep, like you say, you've got to keep trying to, if there's rule changes, clubs, if there's one club that's unhappy with something, there's another 10 or 15 that are thinking the same thing. So, I think it's just about.
It's been interesting coming out with because this is the first year we've really come out to clubs to sort of say we've got these where we don't want 12 men and good just making all decisions for the league all the time.
Yeah.
So we have brought a couple of things out, and it's been really one-sided. It's really been surprising how they've been one-sided against all 4. Yeah. There's been no real arguments within there, which I were expecting quite a bit of feedback from, and it's been really lopsided.
Yeah,
interesting. Very interesting.
It is. Yeah, I think that, like I said again, obviously we had Ali on, didn't we? One of the first, Ali Dixon, and Ali. We were in the same. We all thought the same. What GMCL has done for the local cricket has made it only stronger for every club that's probably in it, or most clubs. Definitely, the standard of cricket. I don't think this year, right now, you could call in the Prem. You couldn't call a winner at the minute.
Well, if you think about it, with Press, I'll use Prestwich as an example. We're relegated. They were relegated, but were playing in the Lancs knockout. Yeah. Got to the final of the Lancs knockout, which they shared. Got promoted the same year and won the league.
Well, they won it, went down. Lancs Cup won it again.
Yeah,
didn't they?
It's amazing. So it just shows you how things can change.
That's what I think. There's. I That's funny. I was at my mum and dad's before I came, and I was chatting with my dad, and I was like, in the Prem, you know, and this isn't a dig at the Cheshire League or Liverpool comp, but I think over the last few years you've seen the same teams at the top of the Cheshire League, at the top of the Liverpool comp. It's always the same, 3 or 4 teams at the top, 3 or 4 teams in the middle, and the same teams, you know, rotating themselves between being the bottom end of the Prem and the top end of Div 1 in both leagues. And I think this year in the GMCL, there's no easy game. There's no games you can earmark. Most, and everyone does it, look through the fixtures and go, oh, well, I should have 5 points there, and, you know, we should be trying to get a bonus point there. You're trying to get a bonus point, win every game, aren't you? You are, but it's unrealistic. So you're looking at the games, and I was looking through, and I'm like, it's going to be so hard. If you win the league, whoever wins the GMCL next year, the Prem it'll be blood, sweat and tears. It will be so tough.
Especially when you look at like some of the signings that obviously like clubs have made. You know, like some clubs have signed quite a few, some clubs haven't, some clubs have kept with the like same players, etc. Like obviously Crossy's gone back to Clifton, you know. So it'll be really interesting.
Yeah, I don't think whoever wins it will run away with it. I don't think they'll win it by a large margin. I don't think it'll be a massive points tally that wins it. You know, in recent years, someone's run away and got. I think it's gonna be so tight. Honestly, I do. I think
but after our Ashes predictions, you could be totally wrong there, and somebody.
I called it.
I know.
150. Joey got 150 more runs than any other England batter.
Stop trying to kid yourself with that. Stop trying to kid yourself. It was 90. It was still the most, but it was only 90. Yeah. So I am going to ask you, obviously though, about players playing in other leagues when they shouldn't be on a Sunday. Clarify something for me.
Yeah.
Why is it a no-no? I've always known it to be a no-no whenever I've played cricket, but a number of people that I've spoke to over the past like 18 months have said they don't understand why it's a no-no. So,
well, when a player registers for your club, they register for your club, not another. Why should they be taking, apart from the professionals, because they're a different animal altogether in different leagues, but why should they be taking 2 lots of airfare, 2 lots of salary on a weekend and a start of the season when they've registered to one club? I don't get that.
Yeah, no, I get from that perspective. Obviously, there's been like I don't know whether it was just obviously professionals or whether it was amateurs, overseas amateurs, etc., or if there was any actual amateurs that played in it.
Amateurs, and they were playing in they were playing in Bradford leagues, some of the Yorkshire leagues, and then coming over here playing on a Saturday. What happens if you drew them in the National Cup? Who's he going to play for?
That was the point that I made to people, was what happens if
they get drawn in, if they were allowed to play anywhere and they were playing on a Saturday and a Sunday and you drew them in the Lancs knockout, who's going to play for? But there's got to be some line somewhere.
Yeah,
we've got to draw it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we've got it perfect, and I will say that hand on heart. I don't think we've got it perfect yet, but we've got to. We had a rule and we had to administer the rule, otherwise we would have looked foolish. Yeah. And it was harsh.
So I get that, and I think there's an element for, but I feel sorry for the teams that have been stitched up because the lads have been selfish.
Yeah.
So my question: how do we protect those clubs if some clubs, if they sign someone, for example, say this is an overseas amateur comes over, they sign someone as a pro to do it, and then he goes and plays not as a sub pro, he goes and plays as just a local in that league. If he signed a contract and it says that he's not supposed to, and you've told him face to face and you've messaged him and he's got the response and he's still gone and done it, how do we protect the clubs? I dread turning up to one a Saturday and after loads of hard work at Woodbank and one of the lads has done it selfishly, and everyone else then sort of loses out because they act. And I know it's difficult, and then you have to administer the rule. But I do think there's an element of how do we protect the clubs? That would be my only concern.
And it is really difficult.
Yeah.
We find players that have changed names.
Yeah.
The one thing about play cricket is it follows your history with you.
Yeah.
So if you register on play cricket with one club, it flags up if you go and play with another. So it's got an advantage for that. And there were people that were wearing glasses, changing the name slightly and just messing about and playing the system.
Well, basically knowing what they're doing.
They knew what they were doing. I have, and by the will of God, really, we could have all fallen into that. But we could have had a player playing anywhere else and we didn't know.
Yeah.
And, you know, have we got it right? No, we haven't, I don't think, at the moment. But what else is there to bring in its place?
Yeah. Well, I think the only, I suppose the only way is the clubs protect the clubs is by that player gets banned from any cricket for certain. I know it's hard to follow because he changed the name, because he do it anyway, but you know, at least you feel like I'd feel much more comfortable knowing that player would then know if you play, you are banned for this many, for the amount of games you play or you have played, you are banned.
Because like obviously there was the whole hoo-ha in 2024, and one club, we were playing against one club in the twos last game of season, and they'd had points deducted like the day before they were due to play us.
Yeah.
And it meant that they were going into relegation spot and we were coming out of it. And it was like, their lads said to me, they went, we as players have done nothing wrong.
That's right.
Yeah.
But there has been some selfish players within our club who've gone and done this. And they went, well, do you think that's right that you're staying up based on this? And I was like, well, no, in theory it isn't, because you've been a better side than us all year.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's the way it's fallen. And you look at it and go, obviously there wasn't as many issues last year, so you might have in theory started to get it right. I think that there's one of the things that I would say is, if it is that they're an overseas amateur or an overseas professional that's coming over and doing it, then it's also the clubs can tell them not to play. They will still go out of their way to do something stupid. If they've come over with an agent, it's on the agent, in my opinion. The agent needs to make them aware of it and do it that way. I don't think that there's much more that you can, as a league, that we can do.
Well, I know there's one club that sat down with all the players, went through it, made them all sign to say we're not playing anywhere else, we're only playing for this club, and then they went and played again. You know, what do you do?
I think it is hard, and that's why I feel, you know, like you say, and if you've rules, you have to administer, and you have to do them as you see fit. And I feel so sorry for the lads that have done, you know, like you say, those lads that have done nothing wrong. I feel sorry
for the headache of the league having to deal with it as well, because that was like obviously for those who don't know, Olivia Martin's daughter plays obviously with us at Woodbank, and when it first all came out, I turned to her and went, so are you involved in them still? She went, nope, I'm staying as far away from this as possible, don't ask me a question. I'm like, right, okay. And it was like, no, I'll not ask you anything else. But it's one of them where she said to us how difficult it was for the league to have to look at it and administer out everything. It's an unenviable
It was awful. You know, I'll sit here and just say it was an awful year, and it cost me a couple of board members because they got tired. You know, they were coming up to 10 years anyway, and they were looking at settling down a little bit. But that I know that tired them out so much, and they never recovered really. And you know, thankfully everybody's back to where they are. But it affected people, you know, that were having conversations with clubs and chairmen to say, well, this is where we're up to, guys, and it affected them.
100%.
So it's a really difficult situation.
100%.
Our viewers will appreciate you letting us know about it and understanding of it. Now we'll go back to something hilarious. So,
that's all right.
So obviously last year, I'll need to bring this up with you. Last year, your daughter opens the ball in seconds for Woodbank, and she does quite well. She does. I think she's won bowling prize a couple of years. 2 out of the last 3, I think it is. She's beat Ingers, so that's always good.
That's nice,
Yeah. And last year you put a tweet out because the GMCL had started to put out, and I love it, and I love this. The social media is brilliant. The top 5 in every division, runs and wickets. I was happy because I was up there for quite a lot. But
you don't have to blow your own trumpet, do you?
I've got to. Nobody else will. But Liv was in the top 5, and at one point, I think it was, she got wickets against Horwich. I think she got 5 against Horwich.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of lads from Horwich who were above her, and she went above them, and she was very happy about it. And the Thursday after, when it goes out on Twitter, Chairman of the League, but proud father, it's great to see Olivia Kay.
Absolutely.
Right, very proud. She didn't get a wicket for another 7 games. You cursed her.
Well, she tells me every week, because I'm somewhere else and I don't watch her very often, she says, you don't watch me enough, you don't watch me enough. When I saw it, I thought I'd celebrate it, so I did do. And she didn't get a wicket for another 6 weeks.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And that was it. It was Let's just have a quid because your dad cursed you. Let's just have a quid. Yeah, it was a good. You didn't us 7 extra quid in fine spot.
I was unfortunate of being shadowed by my dad last year.
Yeah, you were unfortunate. I get the one of if my old man turns up, I generally tend to already be out. So yeah, it's always fun. But yes,
He still stares at me as I walk through the door when I get out, and he still stares at me as I walk through. I walk past him, and just follows me into the dressing room and just shakes his head. Fuck off.
always
28 years old, I don't need to tell me that I've done something wrong. I know.
I got out on here literally as my dad turned up to bring the teas last year, and I'd got 90. And as he parked the car to bring teas, I've just turned one round.
Sorry, that's just Chris plugging himself again.
Well, I told you I've got him. But I literally turned one around the corner to square leg and got caught to the only fielder on the leg side.
He's never turned one round the corner, that's a slog.
Leg stump, there you go, thanks. And as he got out of the car, he just went, fucking useless. Walked in and put teas down and was like, sorry, thanks. Yeah.
I think my favourite moment last season was we were playing Montenegro and it was wet and awful, and my dad came to me about 10 minutes before the start and he went, do you want me to open today? I think it's a good idea. We'll hide you, protect you. I went, there you go, you can go to it for all I care. Yeah. I do not want to open the vine on that against Jake Sander, best ball in the league. You can do it, coach. You can about 5, got a nice 70 yard, it was brilliant.
There you go, Stephen, you've got your uses.
Well done, that's your use for the year. It's the only good thing you did all last year, I think.
So you've
Fantastic.
had a bit of a trip to Australia.
We did. We had a great 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks out there, meeting Olivia and Lewis, and
great place.
We went to Perth. I really enjoyed it. I've always thought it's too far to go.
Yeah.
And I always thought, do I really want to go? Do I really want to go? And we got the chance with Olivia being there. So we took in the test match as well, which for 2 days, which gave us an extra couple of days to look at Perth, and we had a fantastic time. I really took to it.
It's a great place, Australia. Like I've done Melbourne 3 times, been to Adelaide, been to Sydney. I've never done Perth or Brisbane, but I love it. I love it. It's an amazing place. It is a long way to go, but when you get there, it's definitely worth it.
We did the camper van around Western Australia for a week, and we saw some fantastic beaches, but for me, if you've seen one, you've seen them all.
Yeah.
And Olivia's doing this 6-month tour around the beaches, really. She's taken to the beaches, not to the cities, really. Yeah. But she had snakes on there, sharks on there, whales on there, you name it, we saw it. Yeah. So it was, I didn't fancy the snake by any means, but everything else is pretty good.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good. We had a good couple of weeks,
Amazing. So we got our quick fire questions for you.
Go on then.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Best player you've played with?
Phil Bailey, Bolton Road, ex-Astley Bridge, Weast and Monton, fast bowler. Hurt his knee and his shoulder, had to give up a little bit earlier, but he would have been down to play his county cricket. Yeah. A good player.
Best player you played against?
𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗃𝗲.
Best ground you've played at, or your favourite ground?
I think Road Green would be up there.
Yeah, it's a good ground,
Road Green would be up there.
And favourite cricketing memory?
I think I'm taking you back to primary school, and we had a one-legged lad called, this is true, absolutely true, called 𝗘𝗵𝗶𝗃 Christian, who still lives in Bury, and he had a prosthetic leg, his left leg, and he played cricket with us at Hollymount Primary School, and he didn't wear a pad on his front bed because it was really hard plastic, his leg at the time, and it'd deflect off there and he'd be calling 1, 2, all sorts. And they'd never give him out LBW. You couldn't give that disabled kid out LBW, could you? There was no chance. He was absolutely, he was brilliant. And when I see him today, I still remind him of that. And it's a class story when I tell it after a few pints.
That's mega.
I played at Radcliffe with a lad who couldn't use one hand. Couldn't use his left hand because the nerves didn't work, and motor didn't work, etc. So he batted one-handed. And he had a specially weighted bat for it, and it was absolutely class because it was just like he knew he was an out-and-out number 11 quick bowler, but he couldn't catch two-handed. Everything had to be one-handed. So in a season, he'd take like absolute screamers because every one of them had to be one-handed. Yeah. Class.
Radcliffe was brilliant, and he played wicketkeeper as well. And he still does today. He rides his motorbikes and his speedsters, and he's still as daft today as he was then, but. He was fantastic. He'd just get deflected off his front leg for ones and twos.
It's actually not leg before wicket,
brilliant.
Is it?
brilliant.
PBW.
Yeah, prosthetic
In
for
full wicket, yeah.
He was,
Imagine that.
That's
You can't give him out. That's just cruel. You can't give him out.
That's brilliant.
it was a true story,
I
that.
genuinely thought that you were going to say, like, when you said he had a prosthetic leg, that he was like using it to bat with or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
at first. That was,
well, he was,
yeah,
wasn't
well,
he?
he was,
He
yeah.
was.
But that, I was half expecting, like, when you said it, I was like, oh no, where's this going?
No, he used to just deflect it for ones and twos, run, and nobody would ever give him out.
That's brilliant.
That's class.
That's so
Big
good.
fan of that.
He was good.
Like, is it 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝘃𝗲𝗃? Is it? Is the,
Yes.
Yeah,
from Denton, he
and
was
Jordy
on,
Williams.
yeah, he was on the Premier League, the Premier Cricket podcast a couple of days ago. It'd be interesting to see if they've played with any lads who do that. If they're allowed to be given out like that.
I think they'd give them out in this day and age, but back then they wouldn't dare.
Yeah. And my last question: any predictions for the season?
My only prediction is that it's as hard fought again,
Yeah.
and fair again, and that I get some good beer rolling around the clubs. I don't say who's going to win it. We have. It was great to see last year that we nominated the Premier League trophy for in memory of Bob Hinchliffe.
Yeah, amazing.
So he'll be playing for his trophy this year.
Yeah.
So my only prediction is that we'll have another fantastic year. Let's hope the weather's good, because cricket and bad weather doesn't mix.
Look, considering how wet and cold it's been during the winter, we generally do tend to get it slightly better than summers.
Let's hope so.
Like we got lucky last year. We played all our friendlies. We played up at Enfield in the first weekend of April on a belter. So
It ended up being quite warm that in the end.
You caught sun. Sun was out for 5 minutes and you
Oh,
were red.
I can catch the sun when it's windy.
You catch sun in here.
I think there was one season where it was the 2022 season.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time I ever played a season where I didn't have a game rained off, and I think we'd only lost about 10 overs in the season due to rain.
Right.
Like that, and I'd never played in a season like that. And I'm hoping.
Did we have a game called off last year? We had rain affected games.
You had rain affected games, obviously. Yeah.
The 2020 final was rain.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It was.
Stand on here.
Oh yeah, that was really when it got abandoned, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We started though. We played. It was probably slightly.
Bit wet. Your dad was driving around on his little makeshift tractor, making out like
on his tractor, on his makeshift hog.
Yeah, his makeshift water hog. It's not like the one that Elton used to have, where they got one for £800 about 15, 20 years ago, where it come from, I think it was Yorkshire, where and it was a full on ride on, like one of the, like you ride on a heavy roller, but it was a hog. And you could go all the way around the ground and take up all the water off it. And it was before Elton had them new houses put in the corner, and he was just spraying it off over into parkers.
They had one at Aslington. I remember the one at Aslington, and it had a proper fire hose on it.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that purposely got. I remember this. There was a day up at Assie, and there'll be people who were there that day. I remember it was playing, and my dad was on the hog, and none of the lads were doing anything. They were stood in a huddle. Just let the hose off and fired it out, and the lads running round full of dirty water, kicking off because he was like, fucking do something. At least make yourself useful.
I'll tell you what, if clubs had them, they'd be dangerous.
Oh, it'd be chaos.
No, just for getting in the game on, but also there's some of it'd be ridiculous. But, yes.
No.
Thank you once again for coming on, sir.
Thank you very much. That
You're
was
more than
brilliant.
welcome anytime.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin.
No,
That was
you're
brilliant.
welcome.
Thank you.
Do you want to ask for subscribers again?
Yeah, please keep liking and subscribing. It's helping us become more professional, I should say.
Yeah, we're trying to be professional at some point.
Professional,
Trying to be
but
a little bit.
thank you to everyone who has, and if you haven't, then please do. It really helps, and it means we can get some more amazing guests on to fill your week of cricket chat.
Yeah, exactly. So, I've been Chris Murray,
And I'm Harry Dearden.
and this has been the Flat Chat Podcast.